Welcome back, volleyball fans around the world. Thanks for joining us here from Surf City, USA, the Huntington Beach FIVB 4-Star Open. Men's, what is this, the quarterfinals? I don't know the double elimination brackets, Randy.
The losers are going to take 9th or 7th right now. This is the elimination. And my name is Randy Stoklos against right here with Rich Lamborn.
Randy, this is an absolute honor for me to sit next to you and call this game. We got USA versus Latvia on Stadium Court here, early Saturday morning action. Nice little joust play at the net there.
Yeah, you know what they say about that one. Always the lower one on the totem pole wins that push right there, and Phil goes up a little bit too high right there to go and score that point. Latvia tying up the game. First game right now, 1-1, Latvia back to serve.
Big bomb from the left side from Plavins. For those of you who don't know the Latvian team, they've already had quite a bit of success this year. They were gold medalists in The Hague earlier in January in an indoor tournament. They followed that up with a silver medal in Egypt, I believe it was. And Plavins, the left sider for Latvia, is a bronze medalist in the 2012 London Olympic Games. They can play. As he showed there, a nice block there from Edgars Tocs at the net.
Not only one block, but two of them in a row, and that's a rarity that you see Phil Dalhausser get blocked by anybody in the world right now. But we're just warming up. First game right now, Latvia up 3-1, back to serve.
Kind of standard MO for Phil and Nick, right? They just kind of feel their way into a match a little bit.
And touche, and you're going to see that a lot from the big man right there. Phil Dalhausser owns the net and has owned the net for really the last 15, 20 years of his career right now. And you'll see that he'll just stay there and just close it right off, and boom, point goes to the Americans. And Phil back to serve.
Tim Hovland might not like this characterization, but I would refer to Phil Dalhausser as my generation's Randy Stoklos. Randy?
Well, I appreciate that compliment, because Neil's say I feel like Phil is one of the better players in the entire world. But he certainly has me by height and length of arm, and he certainly has probably blocked a whole lot more balls than I ever touched. And there is another point opportunity for the Latvians, blocking at the ball and putting some pressure on Nick Lucena as the Latvians go up 5-2, game one. They go back to the bad side. Let's see if the Americans can kind of fire up right now.
Yeah.
And get a little bit of a rhythm right now. It's been very, very odd for all the people that are watching on our live stream right now that the wind factor is there, but sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, and meaning that the good side is the bad side and the bad side is the good side, if that all made any kind of sense whatsoever.
It gets a little swirly on the stadium, doesn't it? Another block there from Tocs. The Latvians are rolling. We saw a nice bit of defense there from Plavins in the backcourt, and a really nice job at the net from Tocs to control what's going on up there, Randy.
Yeah, Tocs staying at the net is a key. There's a timeout, goes to the Americans, but the key for Tocs is that he stayed at the net and wait until you see the set. I can remember as the last game that we just did, I was saying that St. John used to scream and yell at me every single time the ball got set from a distance off the net. You must stay at the net. You must see the set before you back up and make that move, because it can be an easy point.
That you can always pronounce. Try their new golden turmeric cereal this weekend. Check it out over in Sponsor Row. A delicious, gluten-free cereal coated in organic turmeric, cinnamon, and honey. Perfect for breakfast or a crunchy snack throughout the day. Check out naturespath.com and find it right here at the FIVB Huntington Beach Open, presented by the AVP.
Back with you here, Rich Lamborn, joined by the man, the myth, dare I say the legend, Rolo Vincent himself, Randy Stoklos. We're happy to be with you here on Saturday morning. Men's action here, Stadium Court, Huntington Beach FIVB Open. Randy, real quickly before action restarts here, you mentioned Phil's got you in height and length, but you've got him in something a little less volley specific, but you've got him in the luscious locks department. Well, Silver Fox these days, Randy.
Yeah, that's the one thing that has gone for me is that I've kept my hair, but it's just turned a funny kind of color.
That's the one thing that's gone for you? I think you got a lot going for you there, pal. How many open wins do we have? 123. That's a large number, Randy.
Yeah, it is a large number, but if you look at my overall career, I played something like 367 opens in my career, 21 years out on the beach, and I did it from basically 1976 to 1997, and what a time it was. And needless to say, I'm very, very happy to see where the sport's gone and where it's going right now, especially internationally, and with these fine athletes that are playing the game today. Here's a good opportunity for Nick on the right-hand side, and there he is with a quick swing, scoring a couple points. You know, like you've said before, they're kind of a slower starting team, the Americans, Nick and Phil, but when it gets right down to it, sure enough, they put a lot of pressure on their opponents.
Relentless pressure, yeah. Anytime you're facing Phil, it's always in the back of your mind, what am I going to do to get the ball by this guy? Probably setting it 9 feet off the net is not going to work, although they get lucky with the left-handed mistake from Phil there due to the Latvians.
Yeah, you don't see that many errors from Phil with his left hand because everything's off balance and he's able to go and reach to that ball over everybody else, but the ball goes out wide and Latvians score that last point. And they go to Phil, which is probably something that Phil's not even used to right now. And there it is. Quick point by the Latvians, kind of catching Phil Dalhausser off guard. What do you think about that right there?
Well, to me, that's indicative of how the Latvians play. They just have this great court awareness, great sense of ball control. And what's going on, we talked with Samoilovs, one of the members of the other Latvian team who took out the Olympic champions yesterday in winners bracket action. And Samoilov's father is actually the coach of most of these Latvian kids coming up. And he said they used to have kind of militaristic training in Latvia when they were all growing up together. If they let a ball touch the sand without it being touched, it was 100 sprints, and or you were getting beaten with a slipper, Alex told us.
Rightfully so. No, everybody goes and approaches it in a different fashions, but needless to say, ultimately you got to put a lot of pressure on your athletes to react and not to think. And so you try to make them play in the subconscious and try to react after every ball and nothing drops. And I remember Sinja and I back in the day, that was kind of one of our things that we really kind of try to keep to our heart, and that was never let a ball drop.
Good serve there, yeah, from Plavins. Cross court, kind of letting the wind kill it a little bit, it looks like, Randy.
Yeah, the great serves, if you're going to really notice how this game's played, are the balls that get served on the line. And if they serve that ball on the lines, on their sidelines, not to the player, but to the sidelines, it's a very effective serve because you're pinching the player out to the pins where they feel like they have to hit that ball cross court and hit it sharply.
It's a nice example of that sideline serve you were just talking about. My coach in college, the great Carl McGowan, used to say, serve a seam, serve an ace. Right? Meaning just what you said, that if you serve it right in a player's lap, everybody's good out here and they're going to side out with relative ease, but if you can make them move around a little bit, it's to your advantage defensively.
Absolutely, and it really is kind of funny how when you don't put your best serve out there, it's an easy ball. These players make the game look so easy. It's not as easy as you might think out there. There's a lot of hard movement, there's a lot of anticipation, and you really need to be kind of choreographed with one another to be successful.
Another service error there from Latvia, obviously trying to keep the pressure on Nick. We'll see a lot of that from both of these teams, but specifically the Latvians have kind of a synchronicity to their movement out of necessity because they don't have the big fella Phil on their side. They're kind of smaller players by World Tour standards. but that's a great play. Tough pass from Tocs to the back corner. Plavins rolls him right up to the net. And he feasts Randy Stoklow style.
Yeah, no, I have to say, you know, Rich, the thing that I notice right now that a lot of players are going to a jump float serve. They're not putting that topspin on. And I don't know if that's indicative to the wind or the direction of everything right now, but I don't see what Phil used to do. I don't see what April Ross used to do. That jump serve with the topspin and hitting it from sideline to sideline right now. And maybe it takes for him to go and serve that ball into the wind to make that happen. But I certainly think that needs to happen for the Americans to be more successful and to put more pressure on their opponents.
Interesting point. Yeah, I wonder if that's a little bit of a function of this ball, this Mikasa ball. It's got the non-perpendicular seam, so it kind of corkscrews a little bit. You can get it to dance sometimes with the float serve. And I wonder if players prefer the consistency of that. But I do agree with you that service pressure needs to come from either side to be successful. Maybe we'll see Phil go to his jumper.
And here the Latvians are back to serve from the bad side, which again turns out to be the good side if you're serving it in the right, correct areas. But a service from the right side should be an easy reception right here. It's a 1-2, and he goes up on 2, and Phil gets blocked. Latvians are staying tight to the net, taking away angles, and Phil has given a couple points away up from not coming in strong and aggressive like he normally does.
Just barely misses another one as that goes off Tocs' left arm and wide. Kill for Nick. And they've got a 3-point deficit they're looking at here midway through the first, Randy. 10 serving 13. This Latvian team, I mean, we've talked about their ball control, but Edgar up at the net there is kind of sneaky big. He's getting his head up and over the net, big long arms.
All the international teams here are coming here to prove one thing, that they are as equally as good as all the Americans, especially on American soil right now. So there's a lot of pressure for the Americans to kind of stay up. And needless to say, it looks like the Latvians right now have a little bit of an edge because they want the edge.
Yeah, they got a match off yesterday. Doppler Horst unfortunately had to forfeit due to a little bit of sickness on the part of Horst.
Cut.
So they maybe are a little bit fresher than the Americans, having played one fewer match.
That's a good little touch by Nick down the line there, receiving from the right side and then chopping it down the line, trying to get the Americans back in the game, trailing 11-14, game 1.
Kind of an unorthodox arm swing from Plavins there. He's kind of straight up and down, but he can really move that ball around. Got a great wrist.
Yeah, you know what they're doing really well, the Latvians, are they're pushing the ball up to the net and they're keeping everything straight, so there's just organization with their pass, set, hit. And there's an easy ball on 2 that goes in the favor of Phil Dalhausser and then the Americans. Now down 12-15, game 1. Again, we needed some tough serving to get the Americans back in the game. Latvia is playing very, very good and steady right now.
Big block in transition from Tocs again. Great pickup on the on-2 ball from Nick, but Tocs is just, man, it's almost like his rear end hits the sand every time. He squats down and just kind of jumps. You don't see him, and all of a sudden he's there.
And it sure doesn't look like he's jumping all that high or reaching over that far, but sure enough, he's in the right areas to take away those angles. And again, putting big pressure on the Americans. And let's see if the Americans can side out here a couple and get a little bit of a rhythm.
Keys to great blocking, Randy, as one of the best blockers of all times. Is it eye work? Is it hand work? Is it footwork? Is it a combination of all 3?
I think ultimately to be a good blocker is to have the sense of wanting to block. Okay, if you go up there and you're taking away areas, ball's not necessarily going to come to you. I remember an indoor player, 1984 gold medalist Steve Salmons. The guy used to walk indoors back and forth at the net like he was a caged lion. You know, it's an attitude, and if you have that attitude, it really is a pretty scary thing, because obviously the game starts at the net, and if you can put that pressure on your opponents in that way, that will get some opportunities to score some off points defensively.
Nice on 2 ball there from Phil. That's really a wrinkle that they've continued to kind of increase in their game. I think Coach Jay Lockhead has encouraged them to do that, take advantage of their big stick out there, Phil Dalhausser.
I think the percentages are probably in your favor every time you go there. Here's another opportunity. Nick getting a cut shot, swinging from the left side, chopping that ball down the line and hitting the line. Point goes to the Americans. And we get a little bit of a crowd now all of a sudden getting into it. And like I said earlier in the day, it will be fun to see the crowd fill in here and support the Americans because they really, truly need it.
Give Phil credit for that one, right?
Well, I tell you one thing, you know what, if he's not up there, I guarantee you the guy doesn't hit the ball in the net, but for sure, points are scored in bunches, and sure enough, there are 2 that come to the Americans, and the Americans always seem, especially Phil and Nick, that they come from behind and they sneak up and do some special things. It's kind of like how Sinjin and I were. We could get to the end of a match, we could be losing, and then all of a sudden the opponents would say, oh my gosh, we're going to beat Randy and Sinjin. And that's the moment they start to think.
Right.
And then the game turns. And it was worth a couple points for us every single match that we played because that's what we were known as, and that's what the pressure that was applied to the opponent just because of our success.
Right, right. I feel like indoors, kind of the world that I came from, Brazil always had that mystique. You got close to the end of maybe beating them, and you started to try to do too much to close it quickly, more quickly than you should probably, and then that's when you start making mistakes, right, like you said.
And then from my world, I had this guy named KK, Karch Karai, that really did it almost as good as anybody in the world, indoors and out.
That's right. And now he's leading a new generation of women to do the same, I think. There's another one.
3 points in a row go to the Americans. That finally Dalhausser and Lucena tie the game up at 17. Serving from the bad side, or the wind at your back, Nick Lucena back to serve.
Nice on 2 ball there from Plavins. You know, I think we have to applaud a little bit the shift in strategy from Phil and Nick as well. They were kind of going to Plavins primarily throughout the majority of this first set. They switched it over to Tocs, gave him a look, and got a couple errors out of him.
Well, you can't really depend on that second ball, but sure enough, it went in a good way to the Latvians as they served the ball out long with the wind. Again, when you switch sides, it's called new real estate for me. It's called get the ball in the court because it's new real estate for them. And here it is, Phil Dalhausser back to serve. Let's see if he puts a little pace on the ball. It's still that jump float serve, gets a ball close to the net that should be close, but sure enough, Latvian reaching Tocs very high and moving that ball to the middle of the court around Dalhausser to have the Latvians go up 19-18 first
Impressive
game.
for a 6'5" guy to go through the top of the hands of Phil Dalhausser on the block.
It's a rarity.
Fine.
That's going to be a point for Latvia. Little chest thump out of Martins. The dig over on 1. They'll walk back to the service line and pretend that was intentional.
Yeah, Plavins is really kind of seems like to be the spokesperson of the team right now, and Latvia serving for game. The first game, here's a set to the middle of the court. And again, a great dig by Latvia. Point goes to the Americans, though. Keeps the game alive, 19-20. You know what they can do right now, and you know what they have done in the past. Let's see if the Americans can kind of put a little spice and a little pressure on the Latvians right now. Game 1, critical.
Nice soft shot over the top, closes out set number 1 for the Latvians, 21-19. Here's Stadium Court, Huntington Beach, FIVB 4-Star Open. I'm Rich Lamborn, joined by Randy Stoklos. Randy, it's an absolute honor. Just getting to listen to the wisdom is great. We'll leave you for a commercial. We'll come back in a second.
Last time I saw my cousin on Oahu, I was 5. She wondered what took me so long to visit. Honestly,
All right.
I'm not like her. At least, I thought I wasn't.
Welcome back here. We're getting ready for action to start up again on Stadium Court here. Set number 2, USA versus Latvia. Dalhausser Lucena versus Plavins and Tocs. Latvia taking set number 1, maybe a bit surprisingly, Randy, but they played great both at the net and in the back court.
You know, there's consistency is the name of the game right now, and they're touching the ball very, very well, nice and smooth. Easy touch, easy pass, easy set, a little chop inside, and really not even thinking that Phil's going to put any kind of pressure on him right here. Americans got to receive serve and try to get into basically a side-out grind right now and not give up any points and kind of put some pressure. Nick's kind of asking something about something with the touch call or something. He's trying to create a little bit of a disturbance, it seems like. Let's see if the Americans can side out here. Nice pass, ball gets up to the perfect set, and then a little choppy outside, cross court out wide. Latvia goes up 2-0, putting some pressure on the boys, and Niels said this is not what we want to see here.
Not as American fans, this isn't what we're looking for. That's probably, we would consider that a service mistake to go to Phil after the error from Nick, but it works out for Latvia with a nice defensive play.
Yeah, it seems to me that Phil's got a little bit of an issue. I see that band around his leg, his left calf. And I know in the past that he's gotten a little couple injuries in that regard. So I don't know if he's springing or jumping as well as he once did, shooting the ball around. Here's another opportunity for Nick to go and score this point from the left side. A little chop off the head of Latvia. Point goes to America. Finally get on the board, 1-3 in a second set and must-win set for the Americans.
Now, Edgars got to be careful taking balls off of his face there. He once told me when we were talking about Oakley sunglasses, and I said, do you think these will look okay on you? And he said, when you have the perfect face, everything looks good on you. So you don't want to ding that thing up.
And, you know, those beach volleyball players, they think highly of themselves.
That's not me and you at all, is it, Randy?
No. You got to walk the walk, talk the talk, and do it all. That's what's created beach volleyball to be so eccentric and so different than all the other sports. It's imano, and everybody sees it, and it's a beautiful sport to see.
You got to love the proximity that the fans can have to the players out here too, right? We've got 9-10 courts of action going all weekend long. You can be inches away from the action if you're a fan. It's really a great experience. The weather just keeps getting better and better and better as we go along. So if you're out there and you're close at all, come on down and join us. Nice shot there from Tocs down the line. Looks like it went just outside the right hand of Phil Dalhausser on the block. And we'll switch sides with Latvia ahead 5-2, early 3-point advantage.
Now, it's been interesting to see Plavins go to the bump set and putting that ball up just accurately for his partner to chop that ball down the line like that. Here's an opportunity for the Americans to score a point. Nick from the right side, and it gets blocked. The ball gets set just a little too close. The wind blew that thing in. Latvia goes up in a commanding 6-2 second game set, and this is a must-win for the Americans. And they just, for me, Rich, it doesn't seem like the motor's started.
Hasn't started. You may have hit on something there with Phil's legs. The Americans look a little bit out of sorts. But as we've talked about before, just when you start thinking that you're near the finish line, if you let up, that's when they've got you. So we'll see how this second set goes. Just real quickly on the play that happened before, I love to see the sportsmanship as we look at the replay of the on-2 ball there. Nick and Edgars kind of bumped into each other under the net a little bit. Quick handshake. Nobody wants to hurt anybody out here.
It is totally different from the old school. We would have been at each other's throats. There's a little chop by the Latvians to the right side, inside the block there. Ball goes down. Here's the Latvians up here now, 7-3 game 2. Let's see if they can get into a little bit of a rhythm with a reception. A nice little pass. They run this ball out of the middle here. And then a little cross-court shot. Now, not many teams do it, and it's kind of like Todd Rogers.
Yeah.
Todd used to take that ball and pass the ball immediately to the middle. And maybe there's a little more consistency with this play right now because obviously Phil threw those balls up for him and he could chop it one way or the other. But it's a difficult ball to put away in a consistent way.
You kind of cut off your angles a little bit, don't you?
You sure do. Oh, there's a break. There was an opportunity for Latvia, but Latvia in the net. Point goes to the Americans. Let's see if we can score a couple true points right now with the Americans back to serve and obviously a must-win situation down 5-7. I think Phil right now will start to take away some angles and just want to go and take it. How about that quick play? Now, this is where the sport has totally changed from the days that I played. They are now so ball control is so easy that they can go and run a ball inside with nobody there and hit that ball straight down like you know what.
On a bump set too, Randy.
Incredible. And so you want to be tricky, but I got to tell you, that is pretty flashy and pretty incredible to go and pull some of that stuff off. And let's see if it's going to be a benefit or go against the team in that way. Sometimes when you do the type of play like that, that's kind of like using up all your energy right in the middle of the match and right there and then you can give away a little bit of momentum. And again, the Americans are down 6-8 game 2. Phil back to serve. And that's what I want to see. I want to see a little more top spin.
Soft shot there from Plavins in the cross court. They kind of are going back and forth, maybe serving a little wind side. Phil was just...
There's that top spin serve, but the problem is Nick gets out of that right side too early. He guesses. You got to stay there and show him that you're going to take that cross court. And then here we have what I call the gold medal serve. The ball that gets served, it hits the top of the tape and trickles over, and everybody goes, is the game over? So there it is, just touching that top of the net and trickling over. There's really no defense for that. And the point goes to Latvia. Phil from the outside, a little choppy down the line. Normally you were not going to see that. Let's see if they can make a play. What a great little opportunity. He comes running underneath the net, tries to put a little spinny on that ball to get the wind to blow it over, but it doesn't happen. And needless to say, Nick does the smart thing. He stays his ground.
Right.
You got interference right there. The point will obviously go your way, even if this ball goes over right there.
Oh, Nick dove out of the way. I thought he got his legs taken off.
Yeah, that looked a little Vlade Divac right there, a little floppy.
Big break for Latvia there. Kind of Tocs got high centered on the serve. Plavins put up a great ball for him, and he chopped it off of Phil. Excuse me.
Yeah, no, Phil's all over it on that chance right there, but the ball gets used right off the block, and they call that Black & Decker tools. Oh, ball just gets hit wide just a little bit. If you looked at that mark, that ball could have been even called good, but the referee on the corner, right on it, calls that ball out just wide. And the Americans are digging a hole for themselves right now, down 7-12 to Latvia. I think for the most part, Rich, the crowd here are a little stunned. They're normally used to seeing the Americans play the Americans, and then obviously our top players being successful. And here we have a different way of playing the game, and they don't really know how to go and take this.
It is shocking, especially this early on a Cinco de Mayo Saturday, I would think. For all the volleyball fans here, the World Tour has become an absolute minefield, particularly on the men's side. I mean, if you don't show up, you can get beaten by any and everybody. It's not quite like the days where you used to fly down to Rio de Janeiro and take a victory tour and let everyone soak in the Stoklos greatness for a weekend and walk off with a championship, right?
Well, listen, Rich, I will be honest with you that was difficult times to play in that location, and they weren't as easy as they might think.
to the USA. It just took them 40 years. But they made it across the Pacific, and they're here in the U.S. at Pacific City. And at their pop-up right over in Sponsor Row here at Huntington Beach Open. Check out Sea Follies swimsuits and see why they've been Australia's favorite since 1975.
Back on court here as we take a look at the giant Mikasa volleyball in the corner. Sea Folly, Australia's favorite since 1975. Ironically, I've been my mother's favorite since 1975, which is when I was born.
That's so beautiful. I got to check into those and see if I can get one for my girl.
Another dig here from Plavins in the backcourt. And chops it wide. Americans in a hole here, though. That's 9-13 now.
You know, that expression that the Latvians actually just had on his face, that he knew that it was a point opportunity that just slipped by. Let's see if some pressure gets built on the Latvians right now, or if they're just going to go ho-hum it right here and make things look easy. Here's a ball out of the middle, nice bump set, little choppy, Phil's on the block. Again, looking for that block, cross court, and there he goes. Finally, where have I been? I'm back, everybody. I'm back.
Yeah, let's kind of pay attention to this juncture in this match. Plavins had a swing that would have made it 14-8. Instead, it was 13-9, and then Phil gets a stuffy right on top of it. It's only a 3-point deficit now for the Americans. And there's another one back-to-back.
It's amazing when you be around this game for a little bit, you can see exactly the expressions on the person's face, and you can see that all of a sudden there's a little bit of a leak, a little crack in the armor. United States comes back into the game right now, down 11-13, and they still need to score a couple more points in a row. Nick back to serve from the left side, to the middle, to the right sider. Gets a play out of the middle and a little choppy back to the line. Nick is on that ball. What a great little touch. Here's another opportunity for he's going to get a dig down the line. Now a swing from the left side. Chops it into the net. What a good opportunity. But listen, I don't care how that went right there and then. And I know that we're very close to the end of this match, being only 7 points away. But that was a great opportunity for the United States. And keep that in mind, that they put a lot of pressure on the Latvians right there, and expect them to try to change this game right now with an easy side out right here and try to get, again, momentum on their side.
Yeah, the Americans have, ooh, wow. It's a tough lift call there against Nick Lucena. The up ref thought that one got a little bit too low, right? Got a little sternum juice on it, maybe.
Well, especially with the referee being hidden from the handset itself, but he saw that the ball was going toward the net and that the ball was basically only one way to go and get that point. But this is perfect. This is a great opportunity for Nick and Phil to kind of turn this game around and get the crowd involved right now, as the Latvians partner come together and say, hey, don't pay attention to any of that. Let's just stay on our game.
I'm not sure I've ever seen that, Nick leading a cheer of the crowd to boo the up ref. Big bomb down the line there from Phil Dalhausser. Nice little play by Nick to take the tight set, slap it into the block, and get another opportunity for his squad. 12-15 now.
Well, I've seen Phil and Nick do this so many times, but I don't really feel like that they got it in the tank this time. But let's see if they can put a little pressure on the Latvians. Phil back to serve. Ball goes off the tape. I'd be rather lucky than good, as they say. And the Americans scoring a point right there to try to get back in this game, 13-15. And Niels say going to the good side. Let's see if Phil goes to that top spin jump serve that he's been known to put the pressure on.
Going after the left sider now. What a set. What a set from Phil Dalhausser. And here we are, the Americans back to within 1, 14, looking at 15. Unbelievable play, unbelievable body control from Phil. Let's see if we get another look at that.
Yeah, not only is it a great play, but it's so difficult to go and jump up that high, stop the ball at the net, then turn around and give yourself, your partner, the bump set that he needs to score that huge point. Timeout Latvia, putting a little pressure on the Latvians right now. Let's see again, as Phil has been known to do throughout his career, put the pressure on.
That's right. It's interesting to kind of monitor momentum of sporting events, especially from a spectator's viewpoint like we have Randy up here.
Yeah, here it is with Nick getting the crowd going one way or the other. You know, I think he really feels like that was a throw call, but he needs to do something right now because obviously it was a given point away and Latvia scores that point. But now back into live action with Phil Dalhausser back to serve.
That's a nice high swing there to kind of stop the bleeding for the Latvians. Edgar going up high off the top of big Phil Dalhausser's hands. For the kill, their advantage is 2 again, 16-14. The Americans have done an excellent job of planting those seeds of doubt though, right? The Latvians were siding out at will for most of this match, and now it feels like every side out's a challenge for them.
Well, this was very, very important, that last contact. Nick puts that ball up on 2 for Phil. Phil puts that ball away. Nick back to serve right now, down 1, 15-16.
Ooh, Phil wants that one back. Edgar's able to sneak that just underneath his right arm down the line.
It's just so difficult as a blocker to go and think about taking away the cross court and then reaching so high and that ball getting tucked under your armpit, basically down the line. Latvians score that last point. And here's another great opportunity for the Latvians with a good dig, but the point goes to the Americans with a great hit from the right side by Nick Lucena.
Edgars might have gotten caught by a sand shark there. It looked like he just lost his footing ever so slightly. He stayed down for an extra beat to collect himself.
Rich, you know as well as I do, right now it's the team that blinks first that's going to lose right now. And the score 16-17 down for the Americans. Phil throwing in a float serve. Again, I'm not really a fan of it unless you're going to go and do a little short, make them move. You got to go and get to your targets and serve like you once did. And if there's anybody that knows that, that is Phil Dalhausser. So the Latvians go up by 2, 18-16.
That one into the net. Edgars will take credit for the block, but it was probably a hitting mistake there. And the Latvians 2 points away from a straight sets victory in surprising fashion here on Stadium Court, Randy.
Yeah, I think that there's some other drama going on for the Americans. It really seems that they are not on a full tank of gas, and there seems to be that there are some ailments that have drawn up. You wouldn't think that, but again, here's Phil swinging from the cross court, big old high ball. Here's a ball on top on a big, there was an opportunity for the Latvians. He hit that ball in the net. But here it is again. We're getting into the tight area, 17-19. And they got to come together and really string a couple points together to really stay in this match.
This one's critical. If the Latvians get to 20 here, I think that's all she wrote. Phil can get a stuffy. Another great set in transition and the put away from Nick. What a play.
Yeah, there was not only the great defensive play by Nick Lucena getting that cut shot, but what a great bump set by his partner, Phil Dalhausser, to go and give him the good, perfect set that he likes, and he gets to chop that ball inside for the point. And again, a crucial point in this game, down 18-19, a must win in game 2.
Another nice shot down the line high this time from Edgars Tocs.
2018 match point for Plavins.
Match point for Latvia now. And they've got 2 shots at it. They don't get it here, they've got a chance to side out for the match. Interestingly, going after Phil. And there it is. What a play. What an exhibition of ball control there, starting with the dig from Plavins. Nicely done by the Latvians. That'll be a 9th place finish for the Americans, Dalhausser and Lucena, much to the dismay of us in the booth and those fans out in the crowd, as we hate to see our American compatriots go down, but a fantastically played match by the Latvians, start to finish.
Rich, as you said, that both of these teams and all these teams that are playing in this tournament are capable of winning, and you just saw it there. They don't really know that they're an Olympic gold medalist or that they've had that much success. The Latvians are just coming to this California coast and playing their brand of volleyball, which was obviously victorious today over Nick Lucena and Phil Dalhausser. And as you see them resting in the inside little booths for the players, that's a big win for Latvia there.
Big win. Martins and Edgars, 2 great guys, and we'll wish them luck the rest of the tournament. Randy, I've mentioned it a couple times. It's an absolute honor to sit here with you and commentate a game. I appreciate you having me. For those of you joining our live stream, thank you. We'll take a few minutes break and we'll rejoin you in about 10 or 15 minutes, I think, with stadium court action further.
Thank you very much, Rich.